Yo, we are back again here on a rainy Thursday morning here in the lounge, kicking it off with another little travel story. This time, sharing someone else's story again. I was just talking to my sister the other day, and I found out that over the weekend, she traveled to Chicago. Beyonce was performing in Chicago. I want to say Soldier Field, might have been somewhere else, but Beyonce nonetheless in concert in Chicago. My sister drove all the way down there for the concert merch, not to go to the show, but just for the official at the venue entertainment merchandise that was for sale, only available at the venue or resold through websites like eBay or stuff like that. So she drove with her boyfriend and the dog all the way down from Hemlock, Michigan, which if you're not familiar with that, it's pretty much 20 minutes away from Saginaw. So if you know where Saginaw is, if you don't know where Saginaw is, but you know where the little thumb part of Michigan is, that's the Saginaw Bay. And you wouldn't be too far off to guess, oh, I bet you the Saginaw Bay isn't that far away from Saginaw. Correct. So she drove all the way down there. I don't know how far it is, but I was talking to her the other day, and she was filling me in about her little fun travel adventure. She's a big Beyonce fan. Bit of like a concert fan too. I don't know if I'm saying this right. Like she's been to a few different shows, like of all different genres and stuff like that. And then she likes going to stuff. And like she's just like she's a fun attendee. That's probably the best way to describe it. She goes to hockey games up there for the Saginaw Spirit. She goes to minor league baseball games up there for the Great Lake Loons in Midland. Comes down to Detroit. We'll see the Tigers. We'll see the Red Wings. We'll see the Pistons. I don't think she's seen the Lions yet. But either way, like I said, she drove all the way down to Chicago for the concert merch. She'll go to like flea markets. She'll go to all types of different events and stuff like that. Like these like shows and like stuff like that. Like I don't know. They're like conventions almost, probably the best way to put it. Like I don't know, her and her boyfriend, they have a lot of really cool stuff they like to go do, and so I always end up hearing about it. It sounds really fun. But they like I said, they drove down to Chicago over the weekend. I was talking to her about just how she's been doing and whatnot, seeing if she was coming on this we got a little family trip planned this summer, going up north, hopping in some canoes and some kayaks, seeing if she wanted to tag along with the rest of the fam and whatnot, or if she planned on it. But yeah, either way, I just thought it was pretty interesting that she decided to drive all the way down there to Chicago for some merch. But all power to you, sis. I hope you had fun, safe travels, and when Dad sees this and tells you I was talking about you, hopefully you take a listen. So shout out to that. But otherwise, I was listening to the radio on the way in this morning, and they were telling a story about a tornado. I can't believe I can't remember what I wanted to talk about. I completely forgot because I've just been thinking about this tornado and really the crazy story that happened. These people were like locked in an embrace as the twister literally flew through their house, and they lost you're hugging somebody. You have your right arm and their left arm are interlocked. Well, these people like on the same, lost like that arm basically. Like they were interlocked and they each lost an arm due to the violence of the wind speeds, and I'm guessing some likely debris. Yeah, I'm guessing what would be debris that like struck them and caused their body part to like be removed from their body. But either way, insane. Like they were talking about, I didn't get to see any visuals of this. I'll have to try to find it online maybe later, but they were describing it, the house, and how there's certain areas that holes in the wall like just completely demolished and devastated, yet other parts of the house look relatively untouched. And it just reminds me, I remember this might have been in 8th grade with Mr. Shelton, But we were talking. It was in science class, nonetheless, and we were talking about weather and natural disasters and stuff like that, and how unfair tornadoes can be. They can hit uh, they can hit a community, they can hit a neighborhood, and they'll show pictures of the aftermath, and you can see like where one house is, you can just basically see the foundation that remains from the structure, and then the neighbors, they may be missing a few shingles, and it's just in comparison, so insane how when an earthquake hits an area, like for the most part, like everything is like the whole ground is shaken and rattled. You know what I mean? Like in a tornado, it's basically like, it seems like a giant thunderstorm almost, but to the more extreme. Jesus. Sorry, guys. And so, again, it's like to the more extreme, and it just seems like, some people are gonna get like the worst, like the brunt end of the stick, which just sucks. Really, but again, yeah, like I said, something I always think back on. Mr. Sheldon in 8th grade, that's who I'm going to give the credit to officially. When we were going over natural disasters, I know we had a big a big thing of weather that we talked about, topic that we covered and stuff like that um, over the school year, and so yeah, I mean, again, pretty crazy. Impromptu ranking of natural disasters. And this isn't like a ranking, but like let's talk about like ones we would not want to experience. Let's go off the rip. Number one, tsunami. That's I've talked about it before. If you checked in yesterday and you're hearing Sam and I talking a little bit about his Ireland trip, we talked about the ocean a little bit. Very, very powerful place. Very, very fear inducing. So, a wall of water just coming onto the land and just destroying everything in its path, flooding it. Just, I think that'd be the worst. Tsunami, definitely. Number two, I don't know, maybe wildfire. Maybe go the inverse of the water, but you go with the fire because it's so. I mean, they kind of get so out of control and they burn so hot that it makes it so difficult to even put out. So, and they just kind of rage. And it's something, again, too, where like if it's just a dry season or whatever, you can't really control that. And so, like, I don't know, just to be burned alive would probably suck a lot too. So, yeah, I'd say number two is the wildfire. Number one, tsunami. Number two, wildfire. Number three, this is a tough one. Maybe I'll go earthquake. I've been through a tornado in kindergarten. I remember we were in kindergarten, Miss Bradley's class. There was a tornado that came through, twister. We all came huddled up into the bathroom. That was like the safe spot in the school. In the hallway, like, down the hallway with no windows, all the lockers into into the bathroom, even more enclosed and separated from the outside. So that's just like a weird little memory I have from kindergarten at Mini Arnold Elementary School. And I remember being a kid in the bathroom as we were like huddled up, crouched down, hands on your neck, covering yourself, and just terrified. Not for myself, but because like I felt like, oh, we were safe. We were in this room. We did everything we needed to do to be safe from the tornado. But my parents were outside. Like my mom and dad were like at work or like, driving home from work or whatever. And like as a little kid, I just kept thinking like, oh my God. Oh my God. Like my parents are going to get swept up and like sucked into the tornado, and obviously it didn't happen. It's just like you're a kid, you have an imagination, it goes wild. But nonetheless, like, I've been through a tornado. It wasn't fun. I don't really have like I said, that's a very minimal memory. I don't think the twister necessarily like made contact really close to the school, but there was one in the area enough to where we had to shelter. But the earthquake seems scary as fuck. Not only do you have to worry about like it's like the ground shaking underneath you, but if you're inside a structure you gotta get to some like some safe place, like underneath a doorway or something like that. They say like into the bathtub is another good spot, but under a table, like you gotta find something with some like support that like so that way like the roof doesn't collapse. And that's a big thing too, is like collapsing. Like I guess sinkholes, that's might be another natural disaster, but I don't know how common they are, but either way, that's freaky as hell too. Motherfucker. We're yawning like a motherfucker today, man. Let's take some coffee. Let's get ripping and rolling now, okay? Let's see. We were talking about the natural disasters, yeah. And yeah, the earthquake, man, I think of yeah, I always think back to like, yeah, you have to go to like under a table, in under a door frame, into the bathtub. I don't know what it is about the bathtub, but maybe because it's like a hard shell and like something lands on it, you have like the rim of the tub will more or less like capture the the weight of it. And then same thing with like the table, like yeah, like it has the legs and stuff like that, and like something might collapse and like break the legs, but if it does, it's still gonna like, unless it's like an incredible like force that would honestly probably more or less go through the table and not break the legs, like it's gonna mitigate the weight and like that it's gonna provide you. Same thing with like the door frame. There's so much like framing and that goes around that, like it takes a little bit more to like for something like that. So, like that's gonna be like the stronger point where it's where like here this is a box and then it's like I'm talking about, these are the corners, like the frame, like that's the strongest points where the joints are and stuff. I shout out to Mr. Green and Paul Denkins, who's the other teacher. Shout out Mr. Denkins, I guess, too. I didn't really like him as much, but Mr. Green was the fucking man, dude. And I wish I remembered his assistant's name too, like his teacher's assistant's name, because he was the man too. I had a construction class. I was in junior year of high school. We had the career center. I'd been looking forward to this freshman year and sophomore year because I fucking hated school. And career center got me out of school for 3.5 hours, like the first from like 8 a.m. until like 11 o'clock. I was gone. I didn't have to be back at school till 12:15. And I would go, and my junior year I took construction class. At first I was going to do teacher's education. Sam was talking about how he was going to be a teacher. He actually has a teaching degree, and just said different strokes, different folks. It's not his cup of tea, but for me, I mean, I honestly, like I always would like, I know one day I'm going to end up teaching something, like whether it's just a substitute or whatever. Like that sounds fun to me, and I enjoy it. I like working with people like that and being able to have like such a positive impact in the way that I've had some incredible teachers throughout my life. Like people that I think back on all the time, almost daily, and I wish I could see them and thank them and just talk with them on a regular basis like I used to in school, just to show and let them know like how much of an impact they've had on me, beyond like the time we spent for 1 year or 3 years or 4 years, however long I might have been in like a certain building or whatever, or spent time with certain faculty. But yeah, I mean, like I was in teacher education program. I was, man, like looking back, hindsight, buddy, you fucked up. I was the only guy in a class full of like 7 or 8 girls, all from different schools, and all you did was like work with like preschool aged kids pretty much all day. You were like more or less a glorified babysitter. I could have had it made, buddy. Like I'm looking at myself right now, like you fucked up, kid. Like you didn't know how good you had it. Now, what made me think about how good I had it is I'm a busy guy. I got 3 different jobs I'm working and stuff like that. And one of them, I'm the only guy on this team. Like, and I've kind of noticed wrong. We had a meeting like a month ago, a couple weeks ago, and I'm sitting around, I'm looking around, and I'm like, I'm the only guy in this room. I'm the only guy on this team. I'm the only male member of the staff. That ain't so bad, like you just shouldn't shit where you eat. That's where you get cholera, folks. That's how you get cholera. You don't shit where you eat. So, we're not mixing business with pleasure. Shout out to my good friend Casey. and her husband Jay, and their Shitty Cinema podcast. If you like bad movies, if you like making fun of movies, go check out Shitty Cinema podcast. Available on Spotify. Check them out on Patreon as well. But yeah, I mean, don't share where you eat. Not a good idea. And so it's something you just try to follow some good advice. But yeah, I mean, again, like I was in school, you know, like a high schooler, like all these people from different schools, get to interact with them, stuff like that. I just feel like I had it made. Would have made, like, you know, obviously, like, you're just hanging around with kids all day, so you just kind of get to, like, you do a good job, impress them a little bit, and it's not, you know, I don't know. I feel like I'll get where I'm going with this. So, oh well, fucked up. Was like, felt, you know, a little insecure being the only guy. All my buddies and stuff like that. Everyone else, basically all the other dudes from my school were in like auto tech, construction. You know, they were doing shit like that, precision machining and manufacturing, like factory work and shit like that. And I'm in here in the teacher's education program, and but felt like a bit like a pussy. And so shamefully, I mean, I guess not so much. I'm kind of glad I did it. Definitely, like, I don't know, I don't want to say like toughened me up, but I feel like, you know, made me like realize, like, you know, I can do more than I thought I could, and stuff's not as hard. I took construction class my junior year, and then we could have doubled down and taken it again, but instead of like being in the classroom, stuff like that, you basically just go and like you build a house for free. Like, the school like sells the house that you build. You get no work. You get like your free labor. It's pretty shitty. So I was like, yeah, I'm not fucking doing that. But I will take another class at the Career Center. My buddy, he wanted to do precision machining and manufacturing. That's what his dad does. So he was like, fuck it, I'm gonna start doing that. Probably gonna end up doing that after college, after high school and stuff like that. He started like locking on his career. My good buddy Nate. So I was like, fuck it, I'll follow you to precision machining and manufacturing, and just fucked around in the shop for a year. You know, I didn't mind it. Taught me I could do it. Taught me I didn't want to do it though. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Like these classes, like they showed me, like, you know, like growing up, like I always felt like I wanted, like I want to do different things, and I, you know, like as I got older and I seen everybody else who was my age do it, like, you know, all wanting to do one thing. A little bit of insecurity, you know, like that Robert Frost poem, like, you know, like two roads diverged by wood, and I took the one less traveled. Started to feel a little insecure, like shit, maybe I kind of wanted to join the herd, a little sheepish, and followed along with the mom. And like I said, I took construction. You know, I can build things. They like showed me like, oh, how simple. I mean, it's not simple, but like at the same time, it is. Like to like just like framing, you know, measuring, cutting, like it just seems so crazy, like, you know, like intimidating, like a circular saw and shit like that. But I know I can go out there, spend a summer roofing, shit like that. So it's nothing. But no, I can do that if I needed to, like throw on the 2 belt, go work in that high vis, neon yellow, and on a construction site. You know, it wouldn't be fun, but you get the job done. So, oh well. And then same thing with the precision machining and manufacturing too. Like now that you get into like the coding and shit like that, and it's pretty much like you're just kind of inputting the coordinates and stuff like that. It's more or less like computer work, and like, you know, this machine does all of like the precision manufacturing and all of that and stuff like that. It's a lot more like math than I thought. Like we were doing fucking trigonometry, and like I said, like, you know, we were looking at a book and just like looking at numbers, and that was what we called trigonometry. But either way, like I was just like, fuck this. I'm not a math guy, So I was just like, fuck, this is not my cup of tea. Had fun in there though. I mean, like I said, you just got to dick around in the shop. You know, it's like, yeah, that's what I like. And I feel like over time, I feel like as I've gotten older, I've really kind of like found the things that I've really like to like sink my roots into and stuff like that. Beer league hockey was something I found. Hockey is such a fun culture, and I feel like that's like, and it's kind of like that locker room, like shop atmosphere where, you know, it's like this, it's just the boys hanging out, it's the guys, the fellas, and you're just like fucking just, you know, not letting loose, not really acting out, but like, you know, it's just like, it's a joke, not a dick. You don't gotta take it so hard. You're just fucking letting loose. You say some wild crass shit that you probably not gonna repeat, or, you know, like wouldn't really like be said outside of the setting you're in with the fellas, like I said, like you're fucking, elbows deep in the shit, and you're just like I said, it's just like ways you kind of like cut loose and have fun. And I don't know, I just like I like being in the shop. That's something like like and then that camaraderie, like being in the locker room, like that togetherness is something I ride with. That's like that's the one thing. Like the work, I was like, oh fuck, it's the work sucks, but like the people, man, it's like that's the shit that like that's where I'm like, I wouldn't necessarily like you, but I could get through it. Like people would get me through it, man. That's it's like find some cool dudes, some good dudes, who are who are like into that type of stuff. And like it's always too like that. I'm just thinking back a couple of guys I knew from machine shop class. One guy, Shane, he was working, already. I don't know if he still is for the same machine shop and stuff like that, but they're like big into like auto racing and stuff like that. Like they've got big into IndyCar, big into F1. They've been getting into NASCAR and stuff like that. So it's just cool to see like how these like overlap into like the sporting world too. It's like, cause again, like you think sometimes it's like only like the broadcasting side of it, but there's a lot more of like the especially like these other like mechanical sports too that goes into it. So some cool shit. Like I said, my dad grew up working in shops and shit like that too. So I feel like my mom used to work in a shop. So I feel like my parents have worked a lot, put in the grind and shit like that, and told me that I better be good at some fucking book learning, because I was gonna go to school, and I don't blame them. I'm happy for it. I wouldn't want to fucking do the shop shit. I honestly, like, this is hopefully something I can make a job one day, just sitting right here in front of the camera, in front of the microphone, goofing off, with with whoever ends up tuning in and, joining us for, this episode of The Lounge, and like getting some guests on, stuff like that. Like, I used to think back, and I think I've talked about this before, I used to watch The Price is Right, used to watch Whose Line Is It Anyway, used to watch, all types of different TV shows, used to watch Sports Center all day, and like just thinking back, like, that's somebody's job. Like, that's a cool job. Like, fuck, how do I do that? Like, and so, all my life, that's just kind of been what I wanted to do, and maybe it's something I'll get to do, maybe not. There's a bunch of other cool shit that I've found as I've, opened my eyes up and, tried to keep them open and just looked around to see, what the world has to offer, because there's way more than I'll ever get to experience, and in my opinion, you should try to experience as much as you can. So find what you love, and then just keep going at it, and then don't be afraid to keep expanding those horizons. But I think we'll probably wrap it up there. Call it a good Thursday in the lounge. Hopefully we'll keep rocking and rolling, and I hope you guys like the guest from yesterday. We're gonna try to either bring JB on again, hopefully get Sam back on again sometime, but also bring some new guests onto the lounge. So like I said, hopefully next week we'll have either like a second appearance from one of those guys, or our third ever first guest appearance from somebody. So take it easy. See you guys later. We'll see you alligators later.